Thanks to Colonial Brewing Co. for sponsoring the pod today.
Thank you, Colonial.
For those of you who may not know,
It's pros and cons time! Mr. Smith?
Hey, who's that? David Zakapakarakis.
Wrong.
How the bloody hell do you say that? Pros and cons.
What is going on, everybody?
Hello, Daniel.
How you
How's
doing?
your week been?
Good, mate. Yeah, it's been good.
Been good?
Yeah, busy.
Very busy. Yeah,
You?
we've both been busy, mate.
Back at training, so you
Back
must
at
be
training.
crazy busy again.
Very tired. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah.
How you feeling?
Season. Yeah, good, mate. Back to long days, but I had enough of my holidays of sitting on the couch doing nothing. So it's good to get back into a routine.
Yep.
See the boys, have fun there. It's a great vibe down there at the moment, mate. So
Good.
It's going well.
Now, was the draft the other day, 2 days ago, I think?
Draft was last night essentially.
last night as well.
Yep, last two
Yep,
nights.
Last 2 nights.
Yep. So we picked up some young kids.
How much do you get involved in that? Or are you
Did
one of
not
those
watch it at all.
veterans who don't give them anything, these new boys that come into the club? Are you one of those guys?
No, you definitely give it to. I was actually going to potentially house one so I housed the two boys last year for a week.
Yep.
Their first week coming to the club, and then I was meant to do it again this Sunday for a week. But then we drafted 4 in the draft even now 5 in Chippard. We drafted 5 from Victoria. So
Oh, cool. So I already live here.
Yeah, already live here. One's from I think maybe Mount Isa. He might go in with someone else, but I was like second or third down the list of if we had a couple interstats. So, unfortunately, I don't have to do that for a week. But it was good to get to know the boys. I think it was Noah Gown and Braden Ham last year. So they stayed with me for a week, and that was great. And then, it was potentially going to happen this time. So I do talk to the younger fellas, mate. But
Did you give him a message?
Stay
Stay out of my way?
Yeah,
Something like that?
That's exactly what it was. Yeah, stern talking to. No, it was funny with the boys last year. They I think they were afraid to eat too much at dinner time, but then they would get like midnight snacks during the night. They'd go to the pantry.
Well, because you're cooking for him.
Well, yeah, I'm cooking for them, and I don't care what they eat. They can eat whatever they want. But I think it was like they were trying to like sneak to the pantry and get food when I wasn't there, or I'd get up in the morning, they were already like humming down, and then he froze when he saw me, and then I was like, mate, you can eat whatever you want.
Sounds like you
care.
putting them on rations. Sounds like
yeah,
you.
putting on rations. Yeah, it was just funny, but so I don't have to do that this year. So, but I didn't actually watch the draft. I was out last night, but once you get the text of all the boys' numbers, send them a big group text together, and welcome to the club. So that was good.
I watched it. It's bloody confusing, I tell you, with all these new sort of ability to bid on
Bidding, academy
players. But I tell you what, Sauce is on another level. I watched, we had pick 9, Carlton. I'm a Blues man, obviously. We had pick 9. He chose a player who was an academy player.
Yep.
2 academy players he chose in a row, and they both got bidded on. So our pick went from 9 to 10 to 11, and then he traded 11 to Gold Coast, and we didn't get. So he's just playing all sorts. He's on another level to everyone. Everyone's on 2019 levels. He's on 2070 at the moment. He's just on another level. I liked it. It made it really interesting. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
But it made it a little bit more interesting than it usually is. Found it interesting though. It made me reminisce back to the day
draft day,
your draft day,
2008 draft day.
Yep, which was at your mum and dad's house.
Yes,
and we were all a bunch of the boys were there, and I was there.
Yes,
and we were sitting around a radio.
Yeah,
listening.
It was unbelievable
for you to get drafted,
and the whole draft was just on that. It was a Saturday at 2:00, whatever it started.
Saturday at 2:00, and the whole draft goes from start to finish.
Yep.
And
just
we just sat around the radio like
I know.
10 of us guys.
Sounds like it's the 1980s.
I know.
It was 2008.
How old are we?
I know.
And now it's televised, and you probably would have been in the room.
Yeah, I know. And it's over 2 days now. It's completely evolved, but. It was kind of good because
I like that.
Yeah, just you were at home around your mates. Besides maybe the top 10, but
the good old days.
The good old days, and it was a radio, so you couldn't actually see anything happening. It was just you had to hear and listen to your number.
Yeah, I remember everyone was real quiet when it was getting towards you. You had a feeling about a few teams, so we knew that we were real quiet around them. And I think your parents were in and some of your family were in the other room with another radio.
Yes, yeah. Well, I remember I actually didn't hear my name getting called out. I heard my number. And then a few people knew my number, so everyone erupted. I never actually heard my name getting called out.
We all memorised the number when you came in. That was what a crazy thing to think about now.
Crazy times now.
So today's a big day, mate. We've got a great guest.
Who is our guest, mate? Tell us.
Well, hopefully you know because I'm hoping you've done some research.
I've done a lot of, you'll see later on. I reckon I've done a lot of research.
Yes. Okay, Michelle Battersby, mate. So she was actually the person to bring out and start Bumble. In Australia.
Unbelievable.
And for those who don't know, Bumble started as a dating app. I think it's still a dating app.
Dating, friendship app and business app.
And a business networking app.
Yep.
So all those things in one, created by a person,
She's got a great story.
A lady named Whitney who also was a founder in Tinder, I think,
Yep.
originally.
Yep.
So she started that here in Australia. Michelle did,
Yep.
and now she's been brought over to Keep It Cleaner,
Poached.
which is
She's been
she's
poached across.
by our very own, the
Yes,
podcast very
our
own,
very own.
Steph Claire Smith.
We
and
claim her.
her business partner, Laura Henshaw. So,
Yep.
so that's going to be real interesting to have her on, mate. She's got a real, obviously amazing business now.
Yes.
A really smart person. And she's just moved from Sydney to Melbourne, I believe.
Yep.
So we might chat to her
We can
about
ask
that.
her about that. Yep.
And I got a really interesting little quiz for the
Yeah,
both
I'm a
of
bit
you.
nervous, mate, because I'd stitched you up last week
You
on
did
that quiz,
stitch me
so
up.
I'm wondering what you're going to come up with.
Yeah, so I'm excited for this one.
And
Let's
I'm
see what
wondering,
happens.
I'm wondering if Michelle knows anything about AFL. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
that'll be interesting.
Yes.
She probably doesn't actually, come to think of it. Probably should have thought of that before I'd already done the questions and organised them. But that's
Very
all right.
true. But we're
No
multiple
problem.
choice in here, so we
That's true.
we create
Yes.
a bit of content for people.
Absolutely. All right, let's get straight into it.
Done.
Welcome. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks.
Welcome to Melbourne.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about where you came from, I guess, so people who don't know what you do and I guess
Who you are.
Yeah.
Yep. So I was working for Bumble. I was the first employee at Bumble in Australia. I was like the 7th person they hired globally. I was introduced to the founder, Whitney Wolf Herd, by a mutual friend, and she was looking for someone to launch Bumble in Australia. So I quit my job, felt like I could do it, just give it a bit of a try, and worked there for 3 years, got Bumble to over 3 million registrations, hired the team. Yeah, it's been a wild ride.
There's a lot there to unpack because I was reading a little bit about that. So you worked at a bank, then you met Whitney.
So I'd actually never met her.
Never met her?
Yeah, so I'd been working, I went to uni obviously. I did a master's in HR and industrial relations. I started working in HR in the banking industry.
Yep.
I was about 24 and just felt like I wasn't really into it. I couldn't see myself doing it for the rest of my life. And probably just as I started to think all these thoughts, a friend of mine said she knows this woman, Whitney, who started this app.
Yep.
She wants someone to launch it in Australia. So I was avoiding Whitney for a bit because I was like, this sounds a bit dodgy.
Yeah, definitely.
I had heard, she also co-founded Tinder. And Tinder had a bit of a bad reputation in Australia at that time. So I was a little hesitant.
Had you heard of Bumble?
I'd never heard of Bumble. And
Wow.
I'd never
Yeah.
used a dating app.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd always had a boyfriend. So pretty inexperienced in the dating world. But Whitney was just really persistent. Like she kind of wouldn't let me go. Added me on Facebook. Is that what people did?
Yep.
Yeah. And just kept emailing me. And as this one email came through, there was a meeting room available like across the hallway from me. So I just ran into it and ended up on the phone to her for about an hour. And it was just this really strange connection that we had. Like I often think about it and she's said she remembers feeling the same things. I just had goosebumps. I believed everything that she was saying. She told me what the mission of Bumble was. The culture sounded amazing. She told me that she was going to make Bumble like the Facebook for people that you don't know. On Facebook you've got all your friends, but where do you go to meet people outside of your immediate circle? And I just really bought into that and felt like that could work. So I'd never met her. I'd never met anyone else in the team. That was in November 2016, and I just hit the ground running. I started my own company because Bumble didn't have an entity in Australia, so I had to prove that it actually was going to work here and that Australia was a country worth investing in. So I had a goal I had to get to, and once I reached that goal, they created an entity.
Wow. So you built Bumble as a different business first to prove it.
I guess it was like I was a consultant trying to hit this goal.
Cool.
Yeah. So it was quite a big risk, really. It was pretty scary. And I didn't meet anyone until I think it was June the next year. So I'd just been by myself and then I slowly hired a couple more people, but I'd never actually met Whitney and I'd never met anyone else working for Bumble. And it wasn't until I got invited on our company retreat, which was at the most insane house I've ever been to in my life in Mexico. And there were 40 people working at the company, and I was obviously one of them. So I flew over to Mexico by myself in June the next year. And that was the first time I ever met anyone else who worked for Bumble.
How scared would you have been of just like flying over and then there's been no one there, just some weird dude or something? I don't know,
I
like,
was
Yeah, that'd
actually
make me
terrified when I landed because I hadn't really thought it through. Like my bank card didn't work, my phone wasn't working, and I was in Mexico and I just got in this cab with an address. I was like, I could die.
Something to do, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
what a
do, yeah.
catfish.
I know.
Yeah.
It would be unbelievable
Whoa.
setup.
Yeah. It was crazy.
But talk us through. So you're 24 years old. So just a little bit of insight. So us as athletes, we get approached all the time by people like that who want to either promote an app or a new business, that kind of thing. You spoke about connection. What was it about Whitney, and what was your mindset when she said, let's do this? And you just went and did it. You quit your job and you went and did it. Like not many 24-year-olds just attack something like that. So what was the one thing you reckon you could pin down that why you made you do it?
It was definitely the culture. So I'd been working in the banking industry in HR, which is heavily female dominated. So I was working with a lot of women, but honestly, I wasn't really enjoying the culture. Like banking is really rigid, structured. There's obviously a lot of men that work in banks. And I felt like it created this really strange dynamic being in this full female department. I don't know. It was quite savage, to be honest. And I was pretty young when I got my job. And yeah, there were some incredible women that I worked with, but there were also a lot that I didn't really look up to. They were more setting an example of like what I never wanted to be.
Yep.
So when I spoke to Whitney, it was, everyone says this today, so it doesn't sound all that impactful, but it was this women supporting women mentality and just this amazing culture that she was telling me she'd created. And Bumble BFF existed at that time, so it wasn't just a dating app, it was also for finding friends. And she was talking about women, you know, connecting with other women via the app. So it was the cultural side of what she was creating that I loved, and the fact that she wanted to spread that message, you know, to the world, which she's done.
Yes.
So that was what got me.
Do you consider her your mentor?
Yeah, I mean, I guess she was more my boss.
Yeah.
But I definitely still have a great friendship with her now. Obviously, I've resigned from Bumble, but I did it in a very considerate way. You know, I told her I would do something. Like I told her I would launch Bumble in Australia and I'd make it successful. And I was doing it a lot for myself, but I also never wanted to let her down. So the decision to leave Bumble was a really hard one for me because I didn't really feel like I was done. Like I could have done more to grow it, but I probably had done all I could do from a personal perspective in terms of what I was working on from a day-to-day. Yeah.
So how did you go from, I guess, corporate world and banking to like having to market an app when I assume you hadn't really had much of a touch point in marketing or
No.
any of that area before, and all of a sudden you have to get people to use this?
Yeah. I really had to throw everything I'd ever learned out the window because I was really used to following processes and policies, and then all of a sudden I'm starting my own thing and no one's telling me how to do it. And it was a little frustrating at first because I was so used to structure, so I had to forget that I really knew anything about that. But I think it's really easy to market something when you understand the product and you are the demographic. So it was a very, very simple goal when I started. It was build the brand and make it cool. That was literally it, just build a cool brand. And the first thing I've had to do, Whitney was like, just throw the best party your friends have ever been to, and just gave me this budget to do it. And I was like, I think I can do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good starting point.
Yeah, but it was about, I applied it all to myself at first because I was never a person that would have used a dating app. But I was like, I want to get people like me on it. If I can get people like me and all my friends on it, then I feel like it'll be cool. It'll be an attainable brand. And these are the kind of people, if you knew they were on a dating app, you'd probably want to go on it as well. So I just applied everything to what I liked and what all my friends liked first. So it was really as simple as asking everyone I knew, what do you think are the coolest venues in Sydney? What do you think the best events in Australia are? And then just ticked them off.
So I read that you targeted those kind of people you want to employ as university and younger generation. Did you have many knockbacks? People just going, nah, you're talking this app, you're talking crap. I'm not going to work for you kind of thing. Did you have a lot of problems with early on trying to get people on board?
Yeah. So when it was just me, I actually moved back in with my parents because I was so scared. What if this woman's pulling my leg? I'm never going to get paid.
Yeah.
So I was renting in the eastern suburbs of Sydney.
Yep.
So I moved back in with my parents, And I actually started working at like the shopping, like a retail store I used to work at uni, because I knew the owner. I was like, can you just give me a couple of shifts? I'm a bit scared about what I'm about to do. So I went back and worked at this retail store whilst I set it all up. I was working in my bedroom, and I just started picking people that actually did have experience in marketing, because I was a bit scared. Like, I've never done this before, so I need people who know what I don't know. And they were all the ones that said no. So like,
Tough.
probably the first 5 to 10 people I asked said no, and I just remember thinking like, I'm gonna make you regret this. Like,
Yep. Perfect. way to
you'll
look at
be
it.
coming back to me and you'll be wanting a job, and I'll say no.
Has that happened?
No,
Well, not directly.
nah, they would never ask.
Too embarrassed.
Yeah. But yeah, they said no. So, but when I reflect on that, I don't think it would have worked if I'd actually got those people. Like, if I ended up employing people who did have the marketing experience, I feel like they would have brought me like textbook answers,
right,
and
yeah.
and that kind of
Not
approach.
real world approach, yeah.
So like the university stuff you were talking about.
Yeah.
So the way that Bumble really blew up in the US was by its college marketing program, and like that was something that other apps had done as well.
Yep.
And I think it's something like in America, there's more millions. I think, I'm pretty sure it's a larger than the population of Australia.
Yep.
Those words don't make sense. But there's 25 million people who live in Australia, right?
Yeah.
And
Go
more
into
than 25
university.
million people start at college in
Yes.
America every
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to target those
Definitely.
people is a huge influx of youngins that you can just get on your product.
Yeah.
So that is how it had really blown up in the States. And that this was probably one of the things that attracted Whitney to me was when I worked at Citibank, I managed the graduate recruitment program for a year. So I hired like all the investment bankers, and I was used to going to universities and like trying to convince these really smart kids why they should choose our bank over someone else's bank. So I knew how to run those kinds of campaigns, I suppose, and like go to careers fairs and like talk to young kids and like get them to like you so they choose your company.
Yep.
So that was one of the first things that I did. I did hire a younger girl that was still really attached to the university scene, because I felt like I was already out of it by then. And I got her to work on that program. So they were called the Bumble Honeys. Yeah.
Great name, yeah.
Yeah, they were called the Honeys. And they were amazing. Like, when we launched it, there was this huge increase in registrations. And like, I still speak to a few of them, and I'm so grateful that they were the first ones who like bought into it and wanted to be a part of it. So we'd like go to like campus parties and stuff. I was definitely the oldest person there. But yeah, that was one of the first things that we did, and it really worked.
What was it like meeting Whitney for the first time after you'd had all this connection with her and the connection over the phone, and then obviously done a lot with her?
Yeah, I was so scared because it had been, I don't know, like 6 months, and everyone thought I was great. And then when I went over to Mexico, I'm like, what if they meet me in real life and hate me? Like, I'm not this person that I've been via email or via the phone. And because I was the only person going over from Australia, it was pretty daunting. I can recall like nearly crying, actually.
Who'd you first meet when you walked in that party? Who was the first person you went to? Was it Whitney or?
Well, this is the strangest part. So I flew a day early, and I was at that point reporting into a girl in London. So she kind of oversaw all the different country leads. So I flew a day early, and Louise, my manager at the time, also flew over a day early so she could meet me, because I'd never met her. And it was 2 a.m. and we were sharing a hotel room. So I was just asleep, like in the bed that we're meant to be sharing, meeting for the first time.
Oh, wow.
So that was like strange, but great. She just walks into the room at 2 a.m. and I'm like,
Thank God you're
"Hey."
a female. Thank God you're not some weird random person.
But I like loved her, and it felt great like meeting her, because I don't think she'd met much of the rest of the team either.
Yep.
And then we had this lunch at this hotel, Classic Bumble. It was like the St. Regis or something in Mexico, and every single person was there already eating. Louise and I were late. So yeah, Whitney was the first person I saw, and it was a bit of a strange moment, but incredible. Like, she's so young. She's only 30. Has been in Forbes 30 under 30 and Times like 100 most inspiring people. You forget that she's so young and really quite relatable. But then, she'll stand up in front of the whole company and say something, and you are kind of reminded of how insane she is.
Well, insane if she's setting up, shop over the world without even meeting people. You got to have some balls to do that.
Yeah, that's the best lesson that she ever taught me is that in order to scale your business, you've got to trust other people, and that is so like easier said than done. Because when it's yours, you care so much about it and you have such great attachment to it. But I don't think if she hadn't have let me just run with it the way I did and kind of come up with all these things by myself and really apply it to an Australian market, I don't feel like it would have grown as quickly as it did.
Well, speaking of that trust, and you've been in business now for quite a few years, have you trusted someone and then have you got a good story of just being let down from someone you've trusted that you've had taken a massive learning experience from?
I don't know if I have definitely tried to apply what Whitney taught me to others. You know, I've worked with some amazing people. Like the first person I ever hired, a girl called Charlotte who launched the Bumble Honey program. I don't think I realized how lucky I was to have found her, and just she fully came into it as well and just lived and breathed it. So she has always been someone I absolutely could trust. Same with like the other early hires. I think the only time I really ever feel let down is sometimes it can surprise you. You know, you can see so much potential in someone, but like some people just aren't that determined, you know, or like they only want to do, you know, what's explicitly asked of them, you know, like they'll never try to go the extra mile. But I think you just can't expect everyone to want to be, you know, at a certain level or go above and beyond what's expected of them. And like, that's totally fine. You actually need those people in a business as well.
Yeah. So how do you deal with those people where you're looking after a team and you have different personalities, and you have to tailor the way you speak or the way you interact with people? It's like a team environment where coaches speak with players, and some players love a spray, some players love to be cuddled and spoken to. Yeah. How do you find that as a manager?
That's interesting. You just say some people love a spray, because honestly, like, I'm pretty new at Keep It Clean, obviously, but like at Bumble, there were people I'd worked with for a while, and there were definitely people that I felt like I could speak to far more directly, and it like really fueled them.
Yes.
I don't know if they would take my word directly as giving them a spray,
Yeah.
but maybe.
Talking to,
yeah. But then there are other people I noticed where like when you try that approach, they just shut down, like I am definitely a blunt personality, so like I would find that extremely frustrating, because I'm like, how is this not getting through to you? But then you realize like you have to go the softer approach, which I'm just not as good at. But yeah, you do have to adapt like the way you manage people. But also like I was kind of getting to the point at Bumble where I was starting to hire other senior people as well, which was making all of that so much more, you know, so much easier, because then it was like I could just give the direction or provide people with the strategy and be more of a leader and more of a coach. Like that was a hard thing to go through, because when I started, it was me and I was like a player, you know, like I was doing everything and across everything. And then as it grew, I had to go through this strange transition where it's like, actually, I'm not like one of the people on the field anymore. Like I've got to coach everyone, and I need to step out of this role. And that was hard, because I never wanted people to feel like I was going through this transition where I was like better than them, or I was like not doing as much work anymore. It was just that the work was taking a different form.
You spoke you spoke earlier about all parties and, you know, getting budget to throw the parties, and this year you guys were a huge, probably the biggest that I noticed. I didn't pay that much attention, but the biggest I noticed at the races this year. Yeah. There was a lot of controversy around the races this year, more than I've ever noticed, I think, and I think we might have just touched on it slightly. They had a 20% down in attendance this year, which is quite big. And then you guys donated, I think it was $130,000 to horse welfare. Yeah. How hard was that period of time to both cop the criticism, which was coming, because I noticed it, as well as then make the choice to stay and continue to do it, and then also obviously donate?
Yeah, that was a really challenging time. But to be honest, it's probably one of the proudest moments I've had whilst working at Bumble in terms of how we managed that situation. So it was really horrible what came out. You know, you can't turn a blind eye to that. We had already committed to our sponsorship of the Melbourne Cup, and honestly, we saw incredible return from it the year prior. But to have all of that come out in the media, you know, as a brand that has a really strong mission and voice, we couldn't just sit back and not engage in the conversation. And that was challenging because working with the VRC, you know, that's a very traditional old brand. I think they've been around for like 150 years. And then you've got Bumble, like this 5-year-old brand who's really progressive. So it was working closely with the VRC to really come up with something that worked well, that they were supportive of, you know. So we did donate $130,000 to Off the Track, which is a horse welfare program which aims to retrain and rehome racehorses. But it was quite daunting going in on Derby Day, to be honest, because I didn't really know what to expect. We hadn't seen any, like no one had pulled out from Australia, but we obviously did have our international guest pull out. So we were a bit unsure of what we'd get on the day.
Who was that supposed to be?
Lana Condor.
Okay.
So she's in that Netflix movie To All the Boys I've Ever Loved.
Okay.
So she pulled out, but no one from Australia pulled out, and I kind of feel like that's because a bit more context is there around it. I'm not sure what Bumble will do moving forward. Like the Melbourne Cup is an incredible activation. Like we had 900 pieces of press coverage.
Yeah, wow.
So like the amount of people that engage with it is great. But yeah, their attendance numbers are down, and obviously it's a business decision. So it's all about what return you get off the back of it.
Do you see it changing?
I think it will 100% change.
Yeah.
It just has to evolve. For the Melbourne Cup to stay around, some serious changes need to occur. I think that's really up to the industry. Like for brands to continue sponsoring that event, they'd have to come out with some pretty hard statistics over the next 12 months around equine welfare and a serious decline in horses that are like dying at those kinds of events, or some stats and data on where these horses are going. And if they can't come out with that information, I don't understand how brands will be able to continue align themselves with that event. I just think consumers are smarter and they care more about these kinds of things, and it's seriously taken a turn over the past couple of years.
Yeah. Now we'll get to Kick in a sec, your new role, but obviously Bumble's a very successful business, and you've spoken about Bumble had a clear vision and you never strayed from that. In one of the things I was reading, you're saying, how did you develop such a consistent and successful business operation and plan through that period of it starting in Australia?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is Whitney, honestly. Like there was always a problem to solve, and that was honestly her goal was to end misogyny. So she co-founded Tinder, ended up leaving. You can Google it around sexual harassment claims, and just had a really negative experience there. So she turned a negative into a positive. That's why on Bumble, women make the first move. So the goal was always to end misogyny, like to put women at the forefront, to market towards women, and just to create, it was always going to be a social network. Obviously, like BFF and Biz came in later. But the mission just never changed. You know, like the business evolved, but the values and the goal never did. And you never really looked out of your lane. Like don't really pay much attention to competitors because it's like we've got our thing, so let's just do it well. But I think if you don't have a clear goal and like a voice, you know, from the moment we started in Australia, I just sent an email to Laura and Steph about this, about like who is the Bumble girl, you know? And one of our girls actually was Steph. Like we wrote a list of all these people that we view as being the Bumble girl. And it was like Jacinta Franklin, Chrissy Teigen, Steph Claire Smith, all these like global stars and local stars. And so every time you did something, it was like, does this fit that woman? Shouldn't say girl, but woman, you know? And just staying really true to yourself in the way that we would talk on social media or interact with people. It was always in the same tone of voice. So there are like a few basics, like your values, your mission, your tone of voice, and you just stick to them the whole time. Yeah.
You've gone from one massive, amazing female entrepreneur now to young, well, probably similar age, not that far off age actually, in Steph and Laura, and that team that they've got going on there. How's that transition been from Whitney, who you didn't meet for 6 months, to Steph and Laura?
Yeah, amazing. I mean, I always had this feeling that my next job would probably come from someone I'd met whilst at Bumble, because I panicked for a bit. I'm like, fuck, what do I do after this? Like, where do I go? What have I learnt?
Did they have an elevator pitch for you to get you on?
Yeah, so I met Laura. So when we launched Bumble Biz in Australia, Laura was a Biz ambassador. So that was the first time I'd met her. We used her as one of the faces of Biz. She was incredible, loved what her and Steph were doing. It was probably in July. Was it what year? This year. Yeah. It was in July this year. Laura had told me that they were they were considering hiring a more senior role. And like, would I be interested in talking about it? And I just knew from the moment she said that if I went down this road, I would have to make a difficult decision. So I was hesitant to start the conversation with them. But I ended up just meeting up with them. They told me their plan for the business, what this role was going to be, if I was interested. And I just felt like if I declined, I would always wonder like what that would have been like. And I did feel like I'd reached this point. Like I could have continued, being promoted at Bumble, but essentially my work wouldn't be any different, So was ready for a new opportunity, and I see so much potential in their business and love what they're doing. And one of the things that attracted me to the Whitney and Bumble opportunity was the fact that, like what app that has millions of people on it is investing in Australia, in such an early stage of their business. I just thought an opportunity like this would never come along ever again. So it's so exciting that, over the past 3 years, there are women in Australia starting apps that are doing incredible things. Like 3 years ago, I wouldn't have known where to even look for an opportunity like that. So I think it's great what they're doing, and great that it's an Australian brand, and hopefully we can make it as big as Bumble.
So you've gone from throwing parties to now having to do workouts every day.
Oh my God, I'm
that
so
going?
off those. Yeah. I have.
Do you do it with them or?
So they've made me do one workout. I mean, it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I've done one workout. It was actually good. I love the recipes.
Good.
Yeah, it was great.
A good thing.
Yeah, they're really good. No, honestly, like whilst at Bumble, I definitely neglected myself, not because of the company, like just because of me and the kind of person I am. I just prioritized the job. It was probably pretty unhealthy. Like I was traveling a lot. I used to be really active. I stopped doing any form of exercise. I was like eating out a lot, always getting Uber Eats. So I am definitely thankful that this new role lends itself to a healthy way of living, to be honest. But Laura's made it pretty clear, like I've got a jumper with McDonald's on the front. She was like, you can never wear that in here. So I've actually been wearing it to bed like this week.
That's great.
But yeah, I think like Keep It Clean is all about balance. It really is. And like it's about working out and eating healthy whenever you want to. So I honestly do use the app, and I'm loving the recipes because I do really like cooking. And if I can cook something I like eating that actually has vegetables in it, like even better, which they have those kinds of recipes. I don't know, maybe in 6 months from now I'll be super fit. We'll see.
So what ultimately made you make the jump from Bumble to Keep It Clean? Because you've spoken about connections a couple of times today. So was it the connection you made between Steph and Laura, or was it the connection that they have with them and their business vision for fitness and health and promoting that within the women's space?
Yeah, it's definitely the fact that they target women, and Bumble was about empowering women to make the first move, and Kick is all about influencing women to live healthier lives and be, just a healthier version of themselves in whichever way they want to. It's not about like a 12-week challenge. It's not about putting pressure on people to look a certain way. It really is about body positivity. So I love that. And that's definitely, along the same lines as what Bumble was all about. But also it was the fact that I had been in this company that was so small and was so big, and I wasn't at HQ. So there were different challenges that I faced whilst at Bumble. So I was really excited to work for an app where I could actually be at its headquarters, and I'm already getting exposure to so much more just from being in the same country than I was at Bumble. So like, for example, it's amazing that Kick have their app developers like a couple of blocks away. We only had a few developers at Bumble, and they were all based in London. And you couldn't really influence the product. The product was amazing. Like, no offense to them. It's not what I mean, but I love learning those kinds of things. So I'm really excited to be more involved in that. And even like financial modeling and running my own P&L, like I always had a CFO, so they would do that kind of thing for me. But Keep It Clean have outsourced their finance function, and they come in once a week. And so I'm already learning things that I wasn't exposed to whilst at Bumble. So it's, those are the things I'm excited about.
Well, test your knowledge here. You've been there 2 weeks.
Yeah, shit.
What's your favourite meal in the supermarket at the moment from Keep It Cleaner?
Oh, favorite meal?
Yeah, from them, yeah. Or from you
Oh,
guys
okay.
now,
So
yeah.
it's I
I don't know if
it's
you've
the
tested the meals yet.
raspberry lemonade.
Raspberry lemonade?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Does a raspberry lemonade count as a meal?
What is that?
Yeah, what is
it? Like,
Well, they've just got these fridges full of product, and honestly, it's been 2 weeks, but it's a huge fridge, and it was full when I started, and there's like one bottom shelf left.
is it a
You're
drink?
guilty of that?
It's a drink.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Raspberry
Yeah.
lemonade.
I
It's
don't know
great.
if that counts, actually.
Yeah,
it's just a bottled
have you had
drink,
one of the
isn't it? I mean, I'm
pastas
sure
or anything
it
yet?
Nah, sorry. I've had the protein ball, like the Bliss balls
Yes.
and
Yeah.
protein bars.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The Bliss balls are good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
they're
had
great.
them. Yeah.
Don't worry. In like 7 more days, I'll have tried
Yeah,
everything.
you haven't been here 2 weeks. You just moved from Sydney. You've got a lot to do at the moment.
Yeah.
So I think it's fair to say that you had Whitney, who has started Bumble, massive. I guess you would consider her an influencer in the business space, but also just influencer in general. Steph, massive influencer as well, and Laura, both influencers, considered influencers. How do you feel about the influencer market? I'm assuming it was a big part of your time at Bumble, getting people who are influencers.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely leveraging social media and people who align to the brand is so important because you want to capture their audiences because, you know, their audiences will be interested in your product. So that was a huge part of what we did at the start of Bumble. And, you know, obviously we've worked with Laura and Steph whilst at Bumble as well. Yeah, you got to do it.
Well, I mean, it's crazy because there was some stats that they released recently. I think it was last week. 8 billion is currently being spent on influencer marketing, and they reckon by 2022 there'll be 15 billion spent. So there's a massive growth that they see in this space. So
Yeah.
I mean, you're currently employed by 2 influencers, I guess, which is crazy to think about, and then Whitney before that as well. So I guess what do you see? What's your point of view on the direction that you think it's heading in terms of how brands would work with them, and then how influencers will be able to manipulate and change and grow, because things are changing every day. Everyone knows what's going on now, and the platforms are changing so fast as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think someone like Whitney, you know, she was never an influencer. She was honestly just a normal person who started an incredible brand. And because of the power of that brand, she built a huge online following. But, you know, they're all following her because she's a really inspiring businesswoman. And I think with Laura and Steph, they were obviously super smart. You know, like they started a business before a lot of other people with huge online followings did. And I think that's great because they could identify the opportunity there. And not everyone can do that. Like some people have huge followings and they'll try to start a business and it won't be successful. Like it's actually very hard to run a business. Most businesses fail in their first year. Most businesses who make it through that first year fail in their second year. So I think that Laura and Steph definitely leveraged their social platforms for the initial launch of Keep It Cleaner. But I think what's exciting now is that it's really evolving into quite a huge business. I guess part of the reason why I was hired is now really to take it to that next step and really to look at how we can be marketing across multiple different channels, not just leveraging social media so heavily, but it is 100% a great way to build initial traction around a brand. But then, of course, you've got to look at all the people who you've got to try and capture all the people who don't know about Laura and Steph or who have never heard about Keep It Cleaner. So looking at ways to capture new audiences.
Yeah, awesome. I think it's time to stitch you up because
Ooh,
last week
I stitched you up last week.
yeah,
Massive
got
amount of
stitched
food,
up
yeah.
last week. So thanks to Colonial Brewing Co., who are our sponsor, we have an amazing quiz that we started last week,
Yes.
and you threw me under the bus with some questions that I had no idea
Well,
about.
we've each got a chance because
That's
I do
true.
1 week, you do the other
Yep.
week. Yeah.
So now we're going to do our quiz. So it's our special Colonial quiz, which we have an opener for now. Welcome to the Colonial quiz.
you like that
everybody.
intro?
That was so high tech.
I know, right? Budget's a lot for this program.
That was just me opening a beer and having a sip. So how the quiz is going to work, you're each going to have 3 questions, and whoever gets the most right
Wins a slab.
wins a
surely.
slab
Yes.
Okay.
of Colonial.
Okay.
And I believe we have...
Do you drink beer or?
No, I'll give it to my
There's
boyfriend.
some sours.
We have sour.
We have sour.
And
Cool.
you will like the sour. It's
Okay.
amazing.
Sours are unbelievable.
So I
Okay.
actually have a box of sour here.
Yeah.
So you got to get the questions right first.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm going to rotate. Last week you gave me 3 and then 3. I'm
Yes.
going to give you guys 1 and 1 and 1.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we're going to rotate.
Fine, we'll go your way.
We're going to do it my way.
Yep.
All right. So first question to you, Michelle.
Ooh, yeah, here we go.
David has kicked 125 goals in his career. What significant game did he kick the winning goal on the Siren in 2009? Was it A, Dreamtime at the G, B, the semi-final, C, Anzac Day, or D, Good Friday?
Oh, hang on. He's gone 4. I had 3 options like
got 3
A, B, C. Yeah.
Oh, well.
You can't
Oh my
do
God.
physics. Just,
Who does 3?
so I'll look after, I guess. I do only 3, so it's
Okay.
33% chance. Just give me a 25. That's a bit
I've watched
stiff.
one game of AFL my whole life.
Oh, hopefully it was this one.
I'm going to go C.
Which one was C?
Anzac Day.
Yes.
Yes.
Um,
And as you can tell,
Do you have any clue about that?
I was actually watching your face.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to see if I could read on you which one's the
Stop
right
giving
one.
Did I give something away?
Yeah, your face, you kind of
He lit
you
up.
internalized a
Oh,
bit
internalised.
on C.
he lit up on Anzac Day, didn't he? Anytime you
Very
mention
good
it,
people.
he lights right up. Did you also like that we have the ding in our ears
Well,
today?
I've established I'm never playing poker, especially
Yeah,
against you,
no,
ever.
don't play poker against David.
Okay. Clearly, I have a tell, and thank you for pointing that out.
Okay, David.
Yep.
Michelle launched Bumble Biz. Now, did you launch that was that the first in the world when it
No,
launched?
I saw.
okay.
I know exactly what
So
article
someone-
you read.
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It did sound like I came up with Bumble Biz. I was like, let's keep that one up.
Yeah,
We'll keep
for
that
sure.
one live.
Anyway, regardless, you launched it here.
Yeah.
Bumble Biz, this is. What is the tagline for Bumble Biz? A, be the CEO. B, create buzz. C, let's get busy. D, learn what all the buzz is about.
Oh, God. I actually just read this on the way here, and I've forgotten about it. What was B? What?
Create buzz.
Nah, I'll scrap that. I hope it was. No, shit.
That one's terrible.
Yeah.
Give me C and D again.
C is let's get busy. And D is learn what all the buzz is about.
Yeah, so I reckon you're quirky. So I reckon definitely I'd scrap away A and B. Is it out of C and D?
Do you remember what A was?
Don't even
Yeah, you're a banker. Actually, what's A?
be
What's
the
A?
CEO.
Yeah, that.
All right, this is not fair. You guys are helping each other. This is not how the
Thank
quiz
you.
is supposed to work. How did you like my other
Very
ones that I
true.
created?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't mind
Interesting.
that. Yeah.
I thought let's get busy was a
True.
missed opportunity by Bumblebee. So they can keep
Nah,
they can
it's
keep
the
that
bank.
one. I won't.
No, I think
I
we
won't
did.
charge.
We did do. Oh no, we did very busy.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
BIZZY.
Okay.
Okay, Michelle.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
All right, so we are 1-1 at the moment. Oh,
exciting.
Lucky I have a bonus question if we need it. Michelle, how many premierships has Essendon won?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't have to. Yeah.
Oh god.
Well, my towel won't say this.
Okay.
Internalize it. Yeah.
Okay, so that's obviously who David plays for. in
Yeah, I
case
know.
you
I
know.
had to ask earlier.
Yeah, we had the conversation.
A12, B5, C19, or D16?
A.
Wrong.
What was it?
16, D.
Oh damn.
A bonus question, when was the last one? Yeah. Do we bother? Do we bother?
What age? Oh, give him.
That
give him
seems
some years.
quite a lot.
Give some years.
Okay.
It's the number one in the AFL with another team. It's a lot.
Yeah. With
But
Carl.
not recently. Oh, well, yeah. I was going to say. Nah, don't worry about the bonus.
Don't
question.
worry about the bonus question. I think Steph got that one wrong too, but she's an Essendon fan.
Yeah, she got it wrong. Yeah. So
We've
Okay.
done a few of these questions with Steph too. Okay.
You've done a lot of research for this quiz. You
Yes.
just redid it, did you?
Well, yeah, just rotating questions through. Yeah, anytime. If anyone listens to
Yeah.
to us and then comes on, they'll
Same
know
questions.
the answers. Yes. Okay. Cool. Okay, David,
Yes.
Michelle's partner, Billy, right?
Oh no, I reckon I just gave you this answer.
Yeah, I reckon you
before.
might have. Yeah. Okay.
Who do you play for this season? Damn it! Has this been given away?
No, well,
Okay.
no, it hasn't been.
A,
It hasn't been.
Melbourne Storm. B, Melbourne Rebels. C, Sydney Roosters. D, Canberra Brumbies.
Canberra Brumbies. Are they even a team?
They are.
Are they?
Yeah.
I know the
Oh,
Raiders.
are they?
The Brumbies? Oh, well, they
The
are. yeah,
Raiders are
Brumbies,
league,
yeah.
aren't they?
Yeah, true. And the Brumbies
Yeah.
are, yeah. But I've never heard someone say Canberra Brumbies. I'd grown up
Never
just watching-
heard that.
No, just heard Brumbies, not, yeah. Okay, no, fair enough. Well, yeah, I did my research, as we do
You did
in the
your
pod.
research in
I
terms
do a
of
lot of research.
Michelle told you earlier this
Yeah, research the whole family, Michelle, all that, yeah. And I reckon he plays for the Rebels.
Yes. Yes. Thought I'd get you on that one.
Damn, I shouldn't have helped you.
Yeah.
I should just let you run.
Okay,
We just had a chat before you walked in. You were too busy.
All right,
setting
Annabelle,
this
you
quiz
keeping
up.
score. What's the score? 2-1.
Yes.
David's up. 2-1. David's up.
Slap my way.
Okay, I'm sorry about this.
I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
All right. What number does David wear on his back when he plays?
There are so many numbers in AFL.
So
so many.
Well, he gives you a 25% chance.
All right. Well, how about this? I'll
opposed to
only
a
give
33.
I'll only give A, B, C just because apparently that's fairer. So we can say
It is.
A 11, B 1, C 21.
Well, I
I'll
reckon,
say it's got a 1 in it.
Oh, thank you, David. You're so kind.
didn't they all have a one in them? I think I'm just going to go C.
Come
Oh
on,
my
David.
God,
Where
is
was
it
the
11?
help, David?
11.
It's 11. Yeah.
Should have got it. I was going to say I had 2 legs, but no.
Okay. This is where we come back. So it is.
Do a lot of people know this? Are you quite famous?
Melbourne people.
No one knows
Melbourne
it.
people know. Yeah. Not Sydney. Yeah. You've been here to it.
Who are you again?
Are you a big deal?
Why are we here? All right, Dave.
I'll Google you after and be like, shit.
This is we're gonna roll out the last question, even though
Yeah, do it
it's
anyway.
over. David, what is
I'll
the
donate my slab to
what is the logo for Keep It Clean?
your partner. All right.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
What is the logo for Keep It Cleaner? A dumbbell, B a star, C Steph and Laura, an illustration of Steph and Laura. There's a lot of words in that answer. So. Or D winky face.
D.
Yeah, it's clean sweep this one.
Shame. What a shame.
I had a good bonus
Very
question, which would have
competitive.
I
stumped
started so well.
It did,
I
yeah.
think confidence got to me.
You
know
stop looking for the towels.
Yeah.
I think we'll still have a slab of sours for you out there.
Yeah,
anyway.
I'll donate the slab.
Donate
Yeah.
the slab
I
again.
can't win the slab.
My bonus question was going to be about your dog.
Oh, what was it?
What type of dog is it? Which I think you would have struggled with.
Oh, would I? Okay.
All right. A Staffy, B Chihuahua, C Golden Retriever, D French Bulldog.
Golden Retriever.
My family dog's a golden retriever. Family dog's a golden retriever. Actual dog is a Staffy.
Yeah, we named 3 small dogs. I thought I'd go the outlier.
Yeah.
The big dog.
Well, Staffy's still a bit stocky and big.
Yeah, true. They're a bit small. But yeah, so what's that? That's a win.
That's a win for
All
David.
right,
well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thanks,
Well, I didn't
Colonial.
have a win or a lose last week because I was playing for the two.
You were
guests.
playing, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, it's hard when you have 2 guests.
next week maybe we'll have
I'll quiz you. All right. Yeah. Thank you for playing along.
Thanks for playing.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for coming. And welcome to Melbourne
Yes.
officially.
Thanks.
You've now been officially welcomed.
Enjoy your first
I
summer.
love it so much more already.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, you weren't loving it when you got here.
Yeah.
So, and now you are. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Enjoy your
what a
first
win.
summer in Melbourne.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
It'll start in
forward.
approximately 1 to 2 months.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But all of January will be 40, so you'll love
You'll be
that.
Great. Thanks, guys.
All right, mate. Another episode done and dusted. I think we're closing in on the end of the year.
Yes, we are. Mate, that was a great chat.
What a great chat. She's
Michelle.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
just
was really
love
cool.
business-minded people that like she's just taken an opportunity working in a bank, quit her job. Like just, I mean, as I said when we're interviewing her, like we get approached all the time about people asking us to join a business or invest in something and that kind of thing. And you always just dismiss it because you don't really think it's going to work. Like she did. She said she didn't really think of it first and then just kept getting chased up by her. And
Yeah.
it's amazing that in the end you take a leap of faith. And
Yeah, it's a lot of balls in that, and
Yeah.
also the hustle that it needs to
Yes.
go. We had Winnie on last week talking about how he hustled his way into the industry, and
Exactly.
Michelle talking about how she hustled the business from the ground up here in
yes,
Australia.
well, people kept saying no to her.
I know, and
yeah.
it's pretty awesome to hear that. I think hopefully some people can take some lessons out of that.
Yes.
Hustle your way to the top. That's the way to
And
go.
now we can convert her to a Melbourneite now.
I know she loves Melbourne. I hear.
Yep.
So
I love
she's loving
Melbourne.
it.
Post this chat.
Post this chat. She's loving it, mate. Great to chat. Great to see you.
Yes, great to
Enjoy
see
another
you.
week of training. Got another big ep coming up next week, and I
Yep.
want to thank Colonial Brewing Co. for sponsoring the podcast again. We just walked Michelle out with a slab of your sours.
Yeah, I won the sours.
You won the
Colonial,
sours, but
So,
they're hers, mate. We've got to give them to the guests.
Brian,
We've gotta
Jen, if
be
you want to
nice.
give me a slab of sour because I won the quiz, Daniel didn't give it to me. Please do.
Bray came in today and said that you've already requested some for some family
I asked
parties.
to purchase them for Christmas as a present, and I want to give away who I'm going to give it to because they'll probably listen to this podcast.
Well, now they're going to know, aren't they?
Yeah, Dad will know. Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah.
So you're gifted. You're getting gifted presents now.
Dad loves Colonial.
Well, of course he does.
Loves a pale ale. Yeah. And actually, at my housewarming, loved the sour.
Yeah,
we drank it. Yeah, we hit my brother-in-law.
That, yeah,
loved that and Bongo. So,
yeah.
but I asked to purchase them, not to get them for free.
Pale ale sitting here.
Dad, I'm not giving you free Christmas gifts, right? I'm going to purchase them. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes.
Well, thanks to Colonial again for another good ep. We will see. Well, you guys will hear us next week.
Yep,
and we'll be back then.
Done. See you guys.
See ya. You.